Now let's go to the next category for the social organization of life. These are the four life stages. The first is the student stage, in which young boys go through their thread ceremony. This is a rite of passage that enables the young boy to begin learning the things needed for their respective caste. Women do not participate in this rite of passage, but are educated in the home. Many years ago, the boy, if a Brahmin, would go off with his guru or spiritual guide and learn Sanskrit and the Vedas. This would enable the boy to eventually perform rituals for the community. Today, the opportunities for a young Brahmin are quite varied. My old friend Jibby Jacob was in his student stage at the music school. More recently, I have played tennis with a number of young Hindu men who happen to be attending ASU. While in this stage, their parents would be preparing them for the next life stage. The other scheduled Varnas go through life stages, but the schooling would vary depending on caste. The next life stage is the most important, that being married and being a householder. While the young man is being educated, the parents would be seeking a suitable partner for their son. Like in many societies, marriages in Hinduism are arranged. Marriage is a key life stage, for it provides the most productive support for society. Once the children have left home and have established themselves, the parents with their graying hair can now enter the third life stage. This is basically retirement, what used to be called the forest dweller stage. Traditionally, husband and wife would go off to the forest and begin studying scripture. This would be in preparation for dying a good death. For those partners with the financial means, this third retirement stage enables them to enjoy leisure pastimes, such as cruises, golf, tennis, etc. I remember seeing many older Hindu couples engaging in such activities in Arizona. Believe it or not, Hinduism is the second largest religion in Arizona after Christianity. Imagine, or you may have noticed, many older Hindus enjoying the many pastimes this state has to offer. Notice that the first three ashramas, or life stages, are life-affirming, directly supporting society. The fourth stage happens to be world-negating, the means by which one withdraws from society. Also notice that two other religious traditions, Buddhism and Jainism, fit this category. Around the same time that Hinduism was developing from Vedic religion, Buddhism and Jainism were also beginning. Urbanization and many other changes were happening in North India at this time. I like to compare this period to the 1960s in America. And like the 1960s, there were a diversity of views and practices, along with what I will call dropouts, such as the hippie types in their VW vans. The founders of both Buddhism and Jainism were dropouts, leaving society. Now think about one of the metaphors we use for Hinduism, namely your grandmother's attic. Instead of rejecting the ideals and practices of Buddhism and Jainism, Hinduism added them to its attic, like your grandmother would do. The formal term for a dropout in Hinduism would be a sannyasin. In general, the term would be ascetic. These terms refer to individuals who withdraw and place themselves under a higher discipline for a particular goal. The third line on the chart refer to the life goals of Hinduism. The first three are very related to the life stages above them. There are many Hindu scriptures that describe these three life goals. The first goal, dharma, comes from a term referring to support, but you can think of dharma as proper duty and responsibility. It makes sense that dharma would be placed below the student life stage. The next goal, artha, refers to power. This relates to the proper utilization of wealth and success, generally the time of a person's life where they would wield the most power and be most productive would be during the second life stage. The third goal is kama, which refers to pleasure in all of its forms. I know when some people see or hear that word, kama, they think of a scripture that goes by the name of Kama Sutra. This scripture does deal with that dastardly deed your parents told you about. You know, that horizontal activity that is not so horizontal for a book such as the Kama Sutra. You do notice that this box is placed beneath the retirement stage. The assumption that retired people now have the time to enjoy all forms of pleasure, not just sexual pleasure, as you can see from the description. The fourth goal brings us to some of the metaphors mentioned. Initially, there were only the first three goals in life stages when Hinduism was closer to the Vedic beginnings, but Hinduism would add a life stage and a life goal in response to Jainism and Buddhism. So beyond the grandmother's attic metaphor, start thinking about Hinduism being like a large supermarket. This relates well to the fourth goal of moksha, which means release, freedom, or liberation. You can also use the terms mukti or nirvana. This goal relates to checking out of the supermarket from different paths or margas. There are various philosophical paths for those with the mind for it. There are various forms of yoga for checking out. The most popular goal is devotion to a god in some form, bhakti or bhakti marga. A very useful path is karma yoga. One of my gifts to you young people is to teach you how to become karma yoga students. So Hinduism has many departments and many pathways for checking out of the supermarket.